All right, how's everybody doing?
Great.
I stole the stage from Jason today. Yeah, so
Okay, I'll keep it for another time.
there's always another time. Why don't you do base camp? That's what we need to have happen.
Oh,
Right,
there you
Kelly?
go.
All right. So how's everybody doing?
Good.
All right. It's a good day. So I haven't been here for 3 weeks. I think it's exactly 3 weeks. Is that right? She's giving me like, yeah. But just a number of different family trips and whatnot. But any golfers in here besides Dylan? Only Dylan. That's it. Any hikers? All right. Excellent. I'm sure Jason was going to he would have to say something about Machu Picchu. We went down and hiked the Inca Trail. We'll say that for another day, but that was quite an experience. If you have anybody seen Machu Picchu? Well, you served your mission there. I knew you saw. Anybody else? Oh, you guys got to make that a priority. That is something really, really special. I mean, it's one of the 7 wonders of the world, and it's quite magnificent. So, but with that, which I was just wondering who's been to Machu Picchu, because my last message has nothing to do with that, is this whatsoever. All right, trust. So one of the things that I have observed in so many agents is that they'll often say that they trust, and yet they act and do things so differently in relationship to that trust. They'll say things like, well, no, I know prospecting works, but then there's a tremendous amount of fear and anxiety as they go about the process. And when you think about trust, it can mean a number of different things, right? You can trust a friend that they're going to do what they say they're going to do. You trust someone in a relationship, or, in your intimacy, or you trust someone in relationship to, not going to steal from you. But I'm not talking about that type of trust. The type of trust that I'm talking about is the trust that we have within ourselves. And one of the things that I've observed over these many years in regards to prospecting specifically has been the fact of who trusts themselves and who does not. And I've said these things for a while. In fact, I think I said them 3 or 4 weeks ago. That is one dead marker for sure. And I've talked about, I want to weave, Monday for me has always been a day where I wanted to get my mindset right. And so for me, I want to trust a handful of things. And I've said this also for years, but just want to point out just a few things. I said this a few weeks ago, if you were in there. But one is to trust yourself. And I think there's a number of things that you need to trust. Trust yourself. You may say, well, that's easily said. It is easily said, but it's not as easily done. And so when we talk about, like, do I really trust myself? Just think about this. Do you trust yourself that today, if you prospect, and I say if, because some of you won't, even though you're in here, I know you won't. Some of you will have some reason as to why you didn't do it. But if you were to prospect, do you trust that you're going to set an appointment? Do you trust that you could take a listing? Do you trust yourself that you could go put a buyer under contract? And what's interesting, the less skill that is needed, the more trust you have. Think about that. The less skill that you need, the more trust you have in what's possible. So the challenge with this industry is that the majority of the agents gravitate to buyers. They may say, well, wait a second here. It takes some skill sets. Yes, but it doesn't take as much skill. Otherwise, you would have more listings. Otherwise, you would go get more listings. Otherwise, you would formulate your business differently. But what is interesting to me is that the more you trust, the deeper you'll get into the more difficult parts of this business. And you will refrain from just sitting on the outskirts of it because you trust yourself. Now, here's the question. Can you trust yourself to go take a listing, trust yourself to go set an appointment for a listing? And the answer is you can. You can immediately declare to yourself that you trust that you're going to be able to do it. But then how do you display your trust? And that's the fact that I see people say, oh no, I trust myself. I can go get a listing. Oh no, I trust myself. I can go set an appointment. But the ultimate example and where you see whether someone truly trusts themselves or not is by the actions that they take. It's always the actions. The actions are the indicator of the level of trust that you have. So if you have a poor level of trust in yourself, then you will find that your actions will replicate it. So the stronger you are in your belief of what is possible, the deeper level of trust that you have in yourself, that you can go out and knock a door or call a person and set an appointment or go take a listing or work a buyer, it doesn't matter. The higher the level of trust, the more intense you will be, the more focused you'll be, the more committed you will be in relationship to the actions that it takes to do so. And once you start to figure out that your philosophy is really the reason as to why you earn what you earn, do what you do, have what you have, it is all a basis of your philosophy. And just not to be forgotten that just this philosophy, like let's just take this word discipline and happiness go hand in hand, and they always will and always do. The people who are poorly disciplined are almost always the unhappy ones. And you say, well, man, that's easy to say. It's not about what's easy to say. It's just that's the fact, is that if you are poor in your discipline, of your mental control, your mental toughness, your mental abilities, your mental ability to control the story you tell yourself, where you choose to put your focus, then you will find yourself either unhappy or happy. And so here's the challenge with this whole idea of trust. And I said I wasn't going to tell a story about Machu Picchu, but I got to now, Kelly. You need to. Because I was going to tell another story, but this is a better one. Okay. And the reason it's a better one is this. So we're climbing up what's called Huayna Picchu. Huayna Picchu, once you get to Machu Picchu, if I was to show you a picture, and I may even share the story in the future again, but you get to Machu Picchu, and we had hiked like 26 miles, I think it was, give or take. And here we are, we come over what's called Sun Gate. All right. So is that right? Sun Gate, right? And you come to the top of this early in the morning and you look down on Machu Picchu. Well, there's a huge mountain if you were to look at Machu Picchu that they always show in the background. Well, on the top of that is where also the Incas had done, a lot of their stuff and created these different platforms and all these different ways to get, or this way to get up there. And I know Dylan's done this, and it's basically about 1,500 feet that you climb up in about, I don't know, mile and a half. I mean, it's not a long hike. So as we're going all the way up there, we get to a certain point. And as we get to a certain point, Jennifer gets really, really scared. Now you're holding onto a cable and you're literally climbing up steps that are like a ladder. There's a few hold spots where they have some cables wired into the rock, but it's pretty petrifying. And it can be. So she's going up, of course, I know she's fearful and she's scared, and I'm watching her. And as she's going up, she finally gets to the top. And then as she's coming down, she's really scared. And in the middle of that, she starts clinging to Jason, Kelly, to his backpack, to his arm. And he's there and she's scared. And as I'm watching this thing unfold, Jeff, I'm like, I think it's great. And I thank Jason for being there. It was awesome that Jennifer did it. And I said, I just have a question for you. And she said, and now we're in a better part of the trail, Joanna. And of course, I couldn't resist myself. I just said, I'm curious, what were you afraid of? Now, this is what is fascinating. I don't think you know this, Jason. She finally came out and she spurted out, she goes, what if there was an earthquake? Now, I'm not suggesting there could never be an earthquake, Rick. But that is what she was afraid of, that if an earthquake occurred in the middle of her climb, she was going to die. And I said, well, what else were you scared of? Well, what if I slipped and blah, 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 and all the just the normal things of climbing high things. And I said, and she goes, but the good news is I still did it. I conquered my fear. Now, again, Greg being me, I said, that's ridiculous. That means nothing. I said, because you're missing one of the steps of conquering fear. I said, she goes, yes, but it was courageous. I was scared, but I still did it. Yes, that's so good. You're scared and you're still going to go prospect. But the real question is this. I said, I'm just curious. Way before that, before you found yourself scared of prospecting, scared of climbing, scared of going up or down this treacherous area of the trail, where did you put your focus? Now, at this point, Isabel, she got a little bothered by me. Imagine that. And she started getting a little defiant. Like she was tired, exhausted. Of course, I figure it's a great coaching moment in the middle of the trail. Just kidding. All right. And I'm sitting there or standing there as we're walking. And I said, seriously, just answer. Where did you choose to put your focus? And that's when she came out with the fact of, well, I thought there could be an earthquake, or what if this, or what if that? And I said, so at least acknowledge that whatever any one of you are dealing with, I don't care where you're coming from, that you have the right to choose to put your focus wherever you want to. And so you may say, what do you mean? Say, what do you mean change my focus? Could she have changed her focus? Instead of the earthquake, I'm going to focus on how strong I am. Instead of how weak I am at that moment, I'm going to focus on how strong I am at that moment. You say, come on, is it that simple? It is that simple. Now, it's not that simple at times to do it, but because you have to be conscious, aware, and awake. And if you aren't conscious and aware, then all of a sudden you'll just keep going down, going, all right, I'm scared, but I'm still doing it. I'm scared. I'm still making calls, but I'm still doing it. We don't have to be scared. You're only scared because of what you choose to focus on. And that's the problem, is that if you choose to focus on the stuff that is destroying your life, personally and business, then the problem is that you will not have a happy life. Now, some of you want to be miserable. Some of you want to be fearful. You say, oh, no, I don't, George, I don't. Yes, you do. Because in a moment, any one of you in here can change where you put your focus. It is your right to choose where you put your focus. Your focus is on either I'm going to succeed or what if I fail? My success is going to be great or it's going to be, I don't know. You say, George, you can't. Yes, it is the mastery of your mind. To master this business, you have to master your mind. And the mind is a powerful thing. And it starts with one, trusting yourself. It starts with the disciplines of this business, the disciplines of mind and action. And the problem is that sometimes we think it's just market-driven issues. It's not market-driven issues. Some of you want to be miserable. I know that. There's days I don't want to be happy, but I get the choice to choose to be happy or not. And the moment that you begin to realize that the only one who can control the outcomes of your life, the outcomes of your economics, the outcomes of your happiness, the outcomes of your fulfillment, your outcomes of your joy, the outcome is up to you. Because no matter what happens, there will be crap that will happen in your life. Bad stuff, not so great stuff, horrific stuff, the worst of stuff. But no matter what, at the end of the day, as much as you want to believe otherwise, when you're in that state of just being down and out, discouraged or frustrated or angry or fearful, it is still your choice. And once you begin to realize that you have a choice, once you will acknowledge that you have a choice, as you said, Isabel, that you get to choose. And that's your choice. So the question is, where do you choose to spend your time? Where do you choose to put your focus? Well, after that little story of Jennifer, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes later, you know what? She turned around, she goes, you know what? You're right. And I said, I didn't say I know I wanted to. I said, I'm just trying to help. I'm just trying to help. I said, because it's not okay to just say, I battled through my fear. I was so scared, but I still did it. You can do it that way. I'm just getting through the day. I'm just trying to make it. Yeah. Because you choose before that to let that be your focus. Or you could choose to focus on the light, the bright, goodness, the joy, how good it would feel to feel when you're at the top of the mountain in that scenario of Machu Picchu, or Huayna Picchu is what they call it, this other mountain that's right next to it. It's your choice. And until you figure that out, you're all going to be miserable at some point or other in your life. That's how it is, because that's what we choose naturally. We naturally gravitate towards fear. We have to be conscious of love and light. We gravitate, remember that, to fear, anxiety, just trying to protect myself, just trying to get through. It's tough. You don't understand. I didn't say I did understand, but I do understand that you have a choice. That I understand. And if you don't understand that and you want to ignore it, you can, because you want to be there. You want to be there. You want to not set appointments. You say, no, that's not true. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because it's a choice to not set, to not be joyful, happy, light, bright when you prospect. It's a choice to be down and out. It's a choice to be discouraged. It's a choice to be fearful. And once you become conscious, and it's like I always say, wake up. Because once you wake up, you begin to realize, wait a second here. Is this really where I want to live my life? Is this really what I want to do with my life? Is this really the short life that I will have? We never know how short it's going to be, that this is going to be it. This is how we're going to live it. And whether it's in this business that we're talking about or your personal life, I would just again echo to you, it's your choice. Always will be. And that's the scary part. So some of you continue to choose to be unhappy. You choose to be down. You choose to not trust yourself. You choose to not take action. You choose to not do the things that are necessary because of where you put your focus. The typical story that I tell, and then Greg, just give you one moment, because it is your birthday. You can tell you, I mean, still within 24 hours.
So.
But it's interesting to me. There's some people who consistently go to the gym. And the ones I find who consistently go to the gym aren't focusing on how bad it's going to feel to go to the gym. They're focused on how good they're going to feel after they go to the gym. Now get closer now. You're at the gym, you're on the treadmill, or you're lifting a weight, or you're in an exercise class. We can even that moment focus on how bad that moment is. Or we can focus on, because we are aware, we are conscious, and we are awake to how great it will feel once we are done. How good I will look once I complete this. Once I prospect, how great it will be, how many appointments I will set, how much money I will earn, how much success I will have, how many deals I will do, how much money I will have. Because I get the choice to focus on where I want to be. And this comes down to trusting yourself. And when you trust yourself, you act differently. You may not be able to guarantee an appointment today, but you sure as heck can say, I trust myself that I will figure out how to set an appointment a day. And there is declarations within yourself that if you begin to settle in on the idea that you are dictated by this market, you are going to lose at epic proportions in this business. But if you figure out that you can trust yourself, that you can act in accordance and show the trust, If you can make sure that you get really right down here, but really dialed into where you put your focus, your life will be everything that you want it to be in this business and out of it. Again, I say to these things, it is easy to speak on, but if you will get aware and get conscious and just ask yourself, man, is that where I want to spend my time? Down, depressed, anxious, fearful, angry, mad. That's up to you. But just know, you're not fooling me. Because all I know is you choose to be there. Every one of you. And guess what? When I'm doing the same stuff, because I do it, I choose to be there. And what I have found in my life is that I like being more in the light and the love and the joy and the bliss of life than I would rather be depressed, anxious, questioning, uncertain, down, angry, upset, fearful. That's not a lot. That doesn't sound like a lot of fun, does it? And yet, so many of us, we so quickly gravitate there, and then we make excuses as to why it's okay. Well, it's because of this. Okay. Justified. Okay. Sounds like a good reason. But how long are you going to stay there? How long are you going to stay there? Angry, depressed, discouraged, frustrated? How long? At least put a limit to it and recognize that it is still your choice to do so. Greg, wrap us up.
Yeah, the book, The Untethered Soul.
Oh, yeah.
He describes how whatever we're focused on, good or bad, there a series of events and thoughts will happen to increase that focus. He said, it can take you down into a very dark place or a very good place. Eventually, you'll get there if you stay focused on that one thing. So when you say wake up, to me, that means change your focus.
Yeah. Well, and remember, the only way that you can change the direction of your life is you have to, at some level, wake up. T. Harv Eker's, by the way, aside from any spiritual book, I'll just leave it with scriptures, right? That book is the book I have read the most in my lifetime.
What is it?
The Untethered Soul. And then he just came out with his third book, The Surrender Experiment, The Untethered Soul. And he came out with his third book that I've just started, which is Living Untethered. If you guys haven't read that one either, Living Untethered. I've really appreciated, and the author is Michael Singer. It is a book because what I found myself doing, Greg, is holding on to things, holding on to either the fear, the anger, holding on. And that book is absolutely one of the most beautiful books ever written in history in relationship to letting go and living the life that you're designed to live. Not living in your fear, but living in your joy and your happiness. Any thoughts?
Brenda Lee, losers focus on penalties of failure, winners focus on rewards of success. We are winners.
Well said, Brenda Lee.
So those two books, The Untethered Soul and Living Untethered,
Living Untethered,
are those both done by Michael Singer?
Michael Singer, all three. Surrender Experiment was his first book. The Untethered Soul was his second. And then Living Untethered is his third. And yes, the author is Michael Singer.
And you are recommending the Untethered Soul, right?
Well, that's the one I've listened to no less than listened or read twice, listened to it 20 times. It's that important to me. There's anything I would echo to you. The reason, like even the elevates, and thank you for bringing that up, Ruby, is the reason for elevates and the time together and that we spend together is to be free. Not just financially free, but to be free with your soul, to be free from the burdens of fear and doubt and anxiety, to living a life that you're free. That's the ultimate, to be free. But you got to get awake, or you got to wake up. You got to be conscious, and you got to ask yourself, where do I really want to live my life? And sometimes we just want to keep living in a miserable state. Can't change that if that's what you want. But if you don't want that, you have the power to move out of it. And you have the power to move into a place of trust. And action is the display of your trust. So have a great week. All right, here we go. Let's roll. Okay.